Hi, my name's Kaz and I've got Parkinson's. First of all, I want to say thank you to Darlene for that lovely birthday card and the poem that you wrote. It's on my mantelpiece and it's very, very good. It meant a lot, thank you. And all the treats, the kids enjoyed all the treats. I'm 51 today, today I'm doing a video on, because I've been struggling a bit lately, which we all do, you know. Parkinson's, one minute you're up here, the next minute you're down here. But it's important for me to share how I feel, because, you know, we don't have good days all the time, and our emotional, mental state, you know, is one of the hardest things to cope with, I find anyway. But I wrote a list of things. I got as far as 11, but if I think of anything else I'll let you know. But anyway, this is you know, all about the word sorry. I find I say it numerous times a day. You know, I'm always sorry for like being slow, or not being able to speak properly when I'm switching off, or, you know, or freezing, you know, because when you're switching off, if you get going so far and if someone crosses your path, you know, you stop. And there's nothing you can do about it until your brain decides to compute with your legs and say go. So it's a bit difficult, you know. It's a bit like playing a game where the controller doesn't work properly, you know. But so number one is stop saying sorry, you know, and I'm going to really work on that, because this is, you know, me, and I can't help it, you know. I'm wearing a t-shirt today. It says I met Parkinson's look good. So, you know, because it's part of who I am now, and it's very hard to accept some days, and you know, but as you know, suffering with Parkinson's or any disease, you know, you will have good days and you think, yes, I can do this, it'll be okay, and then the next day you might not feel like that. But the other thing is, stop explaining. Now, I do this all day long. I'm constantly, especially if I'm out, I'm explaining myself, or if I go to the doctors, because doctors don't read your notes, so you're having to explain yourself. The amount of times people think I'm wearing a HRT patch. No, it's for Parkinson's, and they're doctors, you know, but they don't read your notes before they go in. That's very frustrating, you know, because, you know, it takes up wasted energy. And as you know, with Parkinson's, you know, I suffer with fatigue and wasting energy on things like that. You know, we haven't got it, you know, so. And stop being hard on yourself is number 3, because I am my worst enemy. You know, I'm constantly criticising myself, saying that, you know, you should be able to do this, and why can't you do this? You used to be able to do this, and, you know, it's so frustrating. You know, it's just, you know, one of the hardest things, you know. But this is a big one. I have very hard. Find it very difficult to say no, you know, because I feel I want to overcompensate, because I can't be like I used to be. I always say, yeah, I'll do it, and I find that very hard. So I've got to learn that it's okay to say no. I don't feel like it. I won't be able to manage that, and not feel guilty about it, because people have to understand that I'm not like I used to be, and as much as I want to be, you know, it's never going to happen. And I don't know how long I'm going to be well enough to be able to do things, and they have to understand that, you know. They think it's hard. They want to try living in my body, you know. My body, you know, does what it wants. It doesn't do what I ask it to. But, you know, some days are easier than others. So, but yeah. And the other thing is, your mental health matters. Any little thing you can do to help lift your mood, whether it's going in the garden, listening to the birds, I mean, I can't walk very far, but even if I could just get out in the wheelchair, you know, and it just lifts your mood, takes your mind off the situation you're in, because sometimes when you're in the house all day, it can feel like the walls are closing in on you, and it's very hard to break free from that, you know, because one bad thought leads to another bad thought. So you need to, you know, concentrate on your mental health, because things can escalate quite quickly. So you need to try and think of positive things that's happened in the day, write them down so that you can look at them visually and see that, yes, I did pull my trousers up when I went to the toilet, you know, which is a big thing, you know, because sometimes I can look at my trousers for 20 minutes thinking, how am I going to pull them up, you know, so, and it's a big thing, you know. And trying to find things that you like about the new me, because, you know, I go on a lot about the old me and how I'd love to have the new me, the old me back, but that's not going to happen, and it's a bit like a grieving process. That's what my counsellor says, because you've technically lost something, you've lost who you were, so you have to find things that you like about the new me, you know, whether it's obviously you've gone from being a very busy, active person, you've got more time in the home with your children, or you know, you can spend more time in the garden, or, you know, which to me, I get bored very easily, but you know, you have to find something, you know, and, you know, having this disease, you know, there's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's several good things that's happened to me. I mean, if it wasn't for this disease, I would have never have met Darlene. And that is very special to me. You know, she's a lovely lady, and so is her daughter. And I'm so thankful to have them in my life, you know. So that's a really good thing about having Parkinson's. I'd love to have met under different circumstances, you know, but you have to be grateful for the small things in life. And stop being quiet, stop sitting there in silence, you know, expecting people to know how you feel. You know, it's important, you know, if someone says to you, are you okay? Don't say, yes, I'm fine, if you're not. You know, you need to tell them, actually, I feel sad today, or actually, I'm frustrated, or actually, you know, it's too easy to sit there and feel and stay quiet, and then that's when your mental health gets worse, because, you know, and sleep's another thing. I don't sleep. I get 1-2 hours a night, and that really affects me, you know, but you know, I don't get cross about it. I just, by the end of the day, I'm extremely tired, but the kids, you know, are brilliant, my husband's brilliant, you know, but you know, my friends, I've got really good friends, Helen and Ian, and you know, you have to have a good support system, you know, whether you're a caregiver or someone with the disease, you know, you need people to support you. You know, I've got a brilliant counsellor, Catherine, you know, and she helps me understand that the way I feel is quite normal, and it's okay to feel like that. She says your feelings are validated, and Helen says the same, you know, but at the time when you're feeling really low and you can't see a way out, it's very difficult. But you know, and set goals, you know, I've set little goals, you know, I never thought I'd get on an aeroplane, and I did, and like in October, I'm going to Spain for a couple of days, because that's Declan's dream destination. Also, his other favourite thing to do, he really misses the snow, so I promised him one winter we'll go out to see Darlene, and he can play in the snow, build a big snowman, and, you know, and it's little things in this country. If it does snow, which isn't very often, it lasts for about 24 hours, the rain comes and it's gone. So, you know, he just wants to play in the snow, bless him, build a big snowman. So, you know, but so that's another goal. And you see, the thing is, I used to think, you know, I sat in this house for 2 years at one point, and I used to think that Parkinson's stopped me from doing things, but in reality it was me stopping myself from doing things. You see, with overthinking it all the time, I was so worried about what people would think, oh my God, but people are going to think what they want to think anyway, you can't control what other people think, and you're going to come across, wallies as I call them, and some people are kind and some people aren't, but that's on them, that's a them problem, as I would put it, so anyway, I don't want to go on too long. It's my birthday, but I should put a smile on and start the day. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I promise next time I come on I'll try and be a bit more cheerful. But today I feel really low, so I've just been writing a list of things that help me visually, because if I can see something, it helps me. Because it's in black and white, and I tell myself that it's okay, to feel the way I feel, and tomorrow will be a brighter day. And so I thank you all for watching. I'm not very exciting, I'm just me, and me, living with a cruel disease. But while I am here, I shall try and do as many things as I can, many memories to be made with my children, even when they're cross at me, I still try and do things, to cheer them up or to help them, because I want them to look back and see that Mum was a good mum, and Mum did everything she could, even when things were really hard. So, anyway, I said I wouldn't go on too long. I'll probably, my meeting's tomorrow, so obviously I've not got Beverly, bless her, she's having, a rough time at the minute, but Helen's coming to help, and if I can film any of it I will do, but I'll go for now, because I'm aware this is like 12 minutes long, and I don't want to, people have a lot to do, so okay, but thank you for watching, bye for now.